Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Gunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauda Nitai, Jaya Gauda Nitai, Gauda Nitai, Jaya Gauda Nitai. Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Go Haribo, 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 Nitai Go Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad-gītā is also like Bhagavatam, spoken by the Supreme Lord. We're reading Bhagavad-gītā as it is, chapter 9. Okay. Which number? Oh, 8:16. I'm on 9:16. Okay, this is attaining the Supreme. ā-brahma-bhuvanāl lokāḥ punar āvartino Arjuna upetya tu kaunteya punar janma vidyate ā-brahma-bhuvanāl lokāḥ punar āvartino Arjuna upetya kaunteya punar janma vidyate ā-brahma-bhuvanāl punar āvartino Arjuna upetya kaunteya punar janma vidyate. Janma vidyate Brahmaloka upetya kaunteya ā-brahma-bhuvanāl punar āvartino Arjuna. Matajis, ā-brahma-bhuvanāl punar āvartino Arjuna upetya kaunteya punar janma vidyate ā-brahma-bhuvanāl punar āvartino Arjuna upetya kaunteya ā-brahma-bhuvanāt ā-brahma-bhuvanāt up to the Brahmaloka planet. Isn't that what it says? Yeah, okay. Lokāḥ, the planetary systems. Punaḥ, again. āvartinaḥ, returning. Arjuna, O Arjuna, mam, unto me. Upetya, arriving. To, but. Kaunteya, O son of Kuntī, punaḥ, janma, rebirth. Na, never. Vidyate, takes place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kuntī, never takes birth again. Please repeat. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kuntī, never takes birth again. We sometimes take it for granted that Bhagavad-gītā is very simple, but it's so deep and gets right to the bare facts that this misery from the highest planet down to the lowest planet, repeated birth and death. So purport, all kinds of yogīs, karma, jnana, hatha, etc., eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti-yoga or Krishna consciousness before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subjected to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Candraloka, and Indraloka fall down to earth. The practice of sacrifice called pañcāgni-vidyā, recommended in the Chāndogya Upaniṣad, enables one to achieve Brahmaloka. But if on Brahmaloka one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets, and at the time of universal devastation are transferred to the eternal spiritual kingdom. Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, in his commentary on Bhagavad-gītā, quotes this verse: Brahmana saha te sarve samprapte prati sanchare parasyante kritatmana pravishyanti parangpadam. When there's devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. It's a very famous verse in the Bhagavad-gītā. The whole Bhagavad-gītā is very, very famous. And it's because it's spoken by the Supreme Lord Himself. To understand the creation and the purpose of our existence may be difficult. It is difficult, just like when Krishna wanted to enjoy with Hladini Shakti, his internal potency, manifest Srimati Radharani, manifest Balaram, all the different incarnations. Even Lord Advaitacharya, he's worshipping Tulsi and the Ganga to the Lord to come down. So the Lord has many split personalities. We're also little Krishnas too. There's unlimited living entities in the spiritual world. What to speak of Vaikuntha. Goloka Vrindavan is just the Lord's personal abode. Brilliant. Obviously, to understand anything in Bhagavad-gītā, we need to have faith. Because without faith and acceptance of Krishna, sometimes we superficially take up Krishna consciousness. Everyone else is doing it. It sounds good, but we really don't have full conviction and faith. That resolute determination, that enthusiasm, and that drive that I have a treasure here. Bhagavad-gītā is the treasure. How to get out of this cycle of birth and death. So somehow we are Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. Everyone is serving Krishna. Lord Balaram is serving Krishna. Lord Nityananda is serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. Everyone is serving Krishna. Because Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So somehow or other, from the spiritual kingdom, when the Lord, His internal potency, there's a need for it. We don't know exactly. The Mahatattva is produced. The Mahatattva. And the Lord, with His vision, looks upon the Mahatattva, impregnating Mahatattva with all the living conditioned entities in this world. Although we are Paraprakriti, we're, in a marginal position. We're part of Krishna, we are little Krishna, but somehow we've been bewildered and are misusing our independence. We're in this material world. And everyone looking for happiness and looking for enjoyment, but unfortunately, due to Maya, due to the illusory energy, we're kept on the bodily platform. So our affection for the body, gratification, my family, my country, my nation, everybody is totally bewildered that this body is everything, and they forget about the spirit soul. In the university, they teach science and physics and politics, economics, engineering, and chemistry, and everything is being taught except what is the eternal spirit soul. This animating this, just like we have that clock in the back, if you take the battery out, it becomes useless because it doesn't tell the right time anymore. It's just dead. So when you put the battery in, then tick, 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 and it goes on. So when we are forced to leave this body goes back to the earth. We come from dust, earth, water, fire, air, ether. We get a mind, intelligence, and ego. And these are our coverings for the soul. But the soul is so covered that we're thinking, let me work hard to gratify this covering, the senses, the mind. So everyone is working very hard to get ahead in this material world. They think, what do they think? Make lots of money. Because if you have money, you're rich, then you can do so many things. You can enjoy life. But everything is temporary. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam is temporary and miserable, as described here in the Bhagavad-gītā by Krishna himself. That you want to go to, Candraloka, Brahmaloka, life is long. Lord Brahma lives like 4,300,000,000 years. This is one day. So you think, that's long enough for me. I can just go to Brahmaloka. I'll be happy with that. But still, you must die. And that fear factor is there throughout the whole world. Even the great demigods are fearful. They may be very powerful. Everyone is serving in one capacity or another, but everyone is servant of Krishna. So Krishna manifests this Mahatattva, impregnates it, and he enters into his Mahavishnu. And from the pores of his body and his breathing, from his nostrils, from his mouth, come unlimited universes. Just imagine, unlimited trillions and trillions of universes. If you ever look at the sunshine coming through a screen in a window, you see little particles just, floating around everywhere. You think, how is everything floating? How are these gigantic planets with great oceans and mountains just floating in outer space like cotton swabs? Who has this mystic potency? And somebody, obviously, we're so deluded, we start thinking by chance. Whenever the creation takes place, there are two devastations. At the end of Brahma's one day, Kalpa, there's a partial devastation, and all the living entities are merged into the Lord. And then on the day of Brahma, when he comes again, everyone's manifest with their desires and basically their karma, whatever karmic reactions. Krishna's in the heart of every living being, within every atom. Everything that you see around is part of Krishna. It's not just happened to be there. The material mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate satcharacharam. That this material energy, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is his divine potency. And we have to have faith and understanding, not just simply dismiss the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā and all the Vedic literatures and all the great teachers and acharyas, because if one does not have faith, and if one does not have a surrendered, submissive, inquisitive nature, then Krishna hides himself. Neha bikaramo nashasti pratyavayana vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmate. Now this is Neha bikaramo nashasti. There's no loss, there's no diminution, but he says that those who are actually envious and jealous, because everyone has envy and jealousy in this material world. People are envious of God, even great philosophers and those who are academically inclined, they want to take advantage of the Bhagavad-gītā. It's such a popular book and present their own opinions. So to meet a pure devotee is a very rare occurrence. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of compassion, he appeared in this age of Kali, and he brought his associates. He instructed personally Rupa and Sanatana Goswami in the nectar of devotion, the science of how one can awaken this higher taste, the parang drishtva nivartate. It's not just simply restrictions and rules and regulations which make up what is love of God, what is Krishna consciousness. In the very beginning of the 9th chapter coming up, it said that this is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, perfection of religion, everlasting, joyfully performed. So Krishna consciousness is an opportunity to awaken our eternal spiritual life. But if you want to be healthy, I have a doctor friend who's helping me to, get things moving and get healthy. Then you have to be determined, willing to pay the sacrifice. I said, "Oh, it's so painful." He said, "No, you have to work through it because there's a lot of clogs and a lot of interruptions." So we've been so conditioned that we have such a disease of jaundice of material bodily concept that by performing these activities of Krishna consciousness, we don't have attraction for the holy name. Someone starts speaking on Bhagavad-gītā, people get up and leave and think, "Oh, I have something more important to do." It's okay. Maybe they do. But the importance, a devotee who akama sarvo kamo va moksha kamo daradi tivrena bhakti-yogena yajeta puruṣaṃ param. We might have so many desires in our heart. We're not free of material desires. And desires don't stop. But by the process of sadhana bhakti, as Srila Prabhupada has instructed, in the very beginning, Prabhupada did not set rules and regulations. He said just chant the holy names of the Lord. Because by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, within those names, all sacrifices, Vedic sacrifices are contained. All austerities, all ritualistic religious activities. So you think, "Oh, that's so simple. How can it be so simple?" Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very magnanimous. But everyone is an individual and we have different layers of attachment. Some want to have a beautiful wife and great wealth or longevity and go to heavenly planets and enjoy in this world. That's why we came in the material world in the first place, because we want to enjoy. We think we're the enjoyers. Even if we work our way up the yoga ladder to achieve the highest planet, Brahmaloka, Siddhaloka, where they have mystic powers, they can actually fly from one planet to another planet. They have great abilities to become bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest, have different mystic powers. But even if they do not take up to this devotional service, this bhakti, pure, unalloyed devotion, it's not just a mental adjustment. It's just knowing and having faith in our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, and our doctor, and taking the medicine that, okay, I will chant these rounds. I will restrict from the bad habits which cause me to stay on the bodily platform, which are forcing me to repeatedly take birth in this world and suffer. Everyone's suffering. Everyone's fearful. I know that, by the time we turn 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, my mother's 91, she says, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the Lord to take me." it's like you can't, all the joints are stiffening up. You can't see properly. I was speaking with Maharaj this morning. He just visited after 20 years. And he said, oh, my vision's going bad. I said, what? I can't hear you. My hearing's going bad. So everything starts deteriorating. When you're youthful and energetic, you think, oh, what are these people wasting their time chanting? We should go out and make some money, some business, take care of the family, take care of responsibilities. But this kind of association and this kind of pursuit, or putting our energy simply for making a permanent stay in a temporary place, is foolish. Because it'll all be taken away. Krishna comes at the time of death for everybody and takes it all away. And then again, you're thrown back into the cycle of samsara. Just like a seed. If you commit sinful activities, you may not immediately see the reaction. It's like planting a seed, a tree. After watering, out sprouts the little seedling and then turns into the tree. And then eventually the flowers and fruits come. And the person who's sown that seed, he can enjoy the fruits of suffering and misery. So all the different activities that we're performing in this material world are causing further reactions, further actions and reactions. So we may have had godly bodies, kings' bodies, demigod bodies. It's not that the creation has evolved to this point. At the point of creation, when Krishna manifests this world and manifests all the demigods and all the controllers and all the living entities are placed in the different wombs of the different mothers, whether beast, animal, plant, human being, demigod, we don't know. We don't have control. But Krishna's controlling everything. It's like a judge. He may sentence someone, okay, you go to prison. This one's going to get hanged. This one will get $1 million. He's not attached. He's just executing according to the circumstances and the desires. So Krishna's not, he's equal to everyone. He's in our heart, but he doesn't interfere with our independence. It says he's not of this material world, just like a rose flower. The scent of the rose and the rose itself may be distanced. I may smell it from a distance away, perceive the smell of the rose. So in the same way, Krishna's presence is everywhere. He may not, say be physically here, but he is physically here also. It's philosophical. Krishna consciousness definitely is an opportunity to try to understand that we are eternal spirit souls, and we're not meant to stay in this world. In this ā-brahma-bhuvanāl, there's great yogīs who undergo different types of yoga systems. We take it for granted that Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the philosophy that Srila Prabhupada is presenting from the Guru Parampara, oh yeah, everyone should, this makes good sense. But 99% of those who are pursuing spiritual life, they don't find a bona fide teacher. And their teachings, we're not criticizing, but if they're not touching upon the absolute truth, one is called a Trivedi, Chaturvedi, one who understands or studies the three Vedas, the four Vedas, who performs sacrifices, who performs rituals, who goes and is very dutiful in the church activities. But unless one meets a pure devotee and is gifted with this bhakti-lata bij, is that Brahmanda Brahmite Konyabhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai bhakti-lata bij. We're wandering throughout the universe, many universes. We have unlimited births in this world, but by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, one gets this bhakti-lata bij, the seed of devotion. And yasya devi para bhaktir, that one who has faith in Krishna, one who has faith in Guru, he can make that advancement. And this is important, because otherwise you have to go one step after another step after another step and perform the tapasya which is required according to the different times. But we're accustomed to modern buildings where there's elevators and you got to go to the 100th floor. So why bother taking the long staircase one step at a time when you could take the express elevator of Krishna consciousness to the very top? And that express elevator is having faith in the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I remember I was reading some Bhagavad-gītā, and every paragraph Prabhupada was chanting the Maha Mantra. And this Maha Mantra is really the cleansing medicine. Because a pure devotee, Satitan kirtayanto mang yatantascha dhridavrita. Like Mahatma. Who's a Mahatma? Mahatma is one who is always chanting the name of the Lord, glorifying the Lord's activities, pastimes, beauty, and using body, mind, and words in the service of the Lord. So everyone's using right now their body, mind, and words and just maintaining family and trying to gratify their senses and make a comfortable situation. But that's not going to solve the problem. Ultimately, we have to leave this world, and where we're going is we're being gifted this opportunity of going back home, back to the spiritual kingdom. One who goes back to Krishna never comes back to this world again. And even all the great demigods in Brahmaloka, if they continue, mostly demigods are devotees, so there's a possibility that you go to the higher planets and experience and then go back to home, back to Godhead. But we're not in that situation. This is, Kali Yuga is full of faults. We're very slow in spiritual advancement. We're lazy. We're quarrelsome. We don't have that longevity of life to perform any big tapasya, austerities. And what can we offer to Krishna? He has everything, but he's looking for the devotion. Krishna, in our heart, he knows our intent and our purpose. It's like he can read us. He understands. And he's encouraging. Krishna's encouraging, but you can't force love. And everyone's looking for that very love, that love for Krishna. But the association of devotees is essential. Lord Chaitanya is speaking with Ramananda Roy that how do you recognize a devotee, a Vaishnava, Achar, that he's saying that one who gives up the association of non-devotees, because well, who's a non-devotee? Those who are interested simply in sense gratification. And obviously that's not something we can totally eliminate, because we have very palatable food in the form of prasadam, that one may be, mind may be restless while in brahmacharya life, then you get married and the husband and wife work together for Krishna consciousness. You put Krishna in the center of everything. That's not, we don't reject anything, we utilize everything. We're utilizing the technology of a microphone to speak and glorify Krishna. We're using vehicles to go for preaching programs. We're cooking so much nice prasadam and providing facilities. So one who's not only chanting the holy name and working on their own heart and working and reading, studying, because by repetition, by constantly remembering and hearing. Prabhupada was, I mentioned before, that Lord Chaitanya spoke to Rupa Goswami, the nectar of devotion. So Prabhupada said, now we have our nectar of devotion. You should very thoroughly read this nectar of devotion. It discusses all the principles, what it means to become Krishna conscious, the different emotions, and understanding our gradual advancement. And after you read it again and again to understand it and absorb it. So every day we're hearing, you're not the body, you're spirit soul. You're eternal, ever-existing, undying. When the body's finished, you're not finished. So our attention should work, not thinking that, well, when I get older, I achieve my material goals, then I can focus on spiritual life. But generally, the mind will not allow that. Like Katvanga Maharaj mentioned, at the time of death, we don't have that clarity of mind. The throat gets choked up with mucus and maybe the fever and the air in the body. Everything is distorted. Very difficult to focus on the Supreme Lord, maybe under those conditions. Yang vapi smaram bhavam tyajat yante kalevaram. What we do in this life will come at the time of death. So if our whole life we spent in nonsense activities, so nonsense will come. Again, we'll be put into the animal kingdom or end up in some very awkward, difficult situation. And when we read the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and other cantos also describe how the living entity, after leaving the body, is taken by the Yamadutas for punishment in the hellish planets. Because most everyone is sinful. You know, people may think, no, I'm a good person. But unless one is guided, it's very, very difficult to avoid stepping on the ants and, you know, so many, unknowingly or unknowingly, so much sinful activities are taking place. So we need atonement. We need cleansing. So in the Christian world, we surrender to the Son of God, the representative of God. But surrender means obedience and activity, not simply lip service that, yes, I've surrendered to Prabhupada, or I have my Guru Maharaj, I have my japa mala, I'm okay. But it's a matter of full-on commitment, because if we don't fully commit ourselves to the mission of Krishna consciousness, then there's room for Maya. We need to fill up the cup with Krishna consciousness, meaning rise early in the morning, take bath, put the mantra, the names of the Lord on your body, protecting the temple. Really genuinely appreciate, we're in Sri Vrindavan Dham. This is one of the principles, worshipping Tulsi Devi. We're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is glorification of the Supreme Lord, His activities, His wonderful activities. But people with no faith, they think, oh, he's just some popular, he was a great man, he had a few wives, and this is the illusion that people are thinking that God, he comes as man, and the very prominent Mayavadi philosophy is that once we realize, oh, I'm not the body, I'm eternal spirit soul, I'm actually God. Yes, you are part of God. And that whole thinking I need to follow rules and regulations and have my guru, but after I've attained that awareness, awakening, this super consciousness, then I don't need, Hare Krishna, don't talk on the phone during class, okay? Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, this is Krishna's spoken words for awakening our love for Krishna. And unless we are committed and follow the order of the Guru, it's not going to manifest itself. So why lose this opportunity? It's a wonderful opportunity to awaken that natural love that's already there. Just like a small child, he has the ability to walk. Just take some time. First he's crawling, then he's stumbling, then he's walking and running. So that Krishna Prem is already there. It's just covered over. This love for Krishna is not something, some foreign chemical has to be pumped in that I have love for Krishna. That love will become manifest with our maturity in Krishna consciousness. Just like if a small little boy wants to understand what is the loving relationships of a man and woman, because it doesn't have the facility, it doesn't have the body or the mentality, but once he reaches puberty or a certain age, and then he can understand. So it takes some time in Krishna consciousness with steady determination, always seeing our own shortcomings, seeing that I need to correct. We're always correcting ourselves. Like anything you want to do in this material world, you want to get a first-class teacher and apply yourself 100%. So in Krishna consciousness, we have a first-class teacher in the form of Srila Prabhupada, and those who are sincere followers of Srila Prabhupada, they're carrying on the responsibility of becoming initiating gurus, and again, repeating the words of Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā. We don't say surrender to me, we say surrender to Krishna. Think of Krishna, chant his glories. And it is a very simple process. In Sri Vrindavan, everything's accelerated, and one has, in the fast lane, in the highways, there's some trucks and slow lanes, but there's some lanes no one's allowed. It's a passing lane. You can really move. Otherwise, you're caught up with the trucks and cars and rickshaws and everything else like that. So we're all caught up in this world, and we have mixed emotions. When we cannot satisfy our lust and anger comes, from anger we lose our intelligence, and by losing our intelligence we fall back into this whirlpool of birth and death. It's not just some philosophical discussion, not thinking that, oh yeah, we just happen to appear from my mother and father in a particular place. I have a certain body, a certain karma, and when it's finished, everything's done. Beg, borrow, or steal, get yourself ghee. Or you only live once in life, enjoy it, go for it. But this is very careless and very much reckless, because if we're not conscientious, if we're not obedient, then when you go to the court of law, you say, "Oh, I didn't know that, driving on the left side." In India, they drive on the left side, so I was driving on the left side. No, you have to follow the laws, the rules and regulations. As human beings, we have a certain responsibility to the demigods. We have responsibility, for the sunlight, the moonlight, the rain, the water, the air. So much is being provided for our sustenance, to live. We're all living the grains, the fruits, the vegetables. It's not by chance. Krishna made a perfect arrangement. Make-believe world. This make-believe world that we're living in, everything looks so real. But it's like a mirage, really is. In janma yaton vayaditratashteshu vigyasvarat. Even the demigods are bewildered by this material energy. And it's all centered around the bodily concept of thinking that I will be the enjoyer. I am the enjoyer. Imitation Krishnas. So we may think, no, I don't think I'm imitating Krishna. But if we're acting outside of glorifying Krishna and chanting the Lord's name, utilizing the eyes to see the beautiful forms, every morning it's amazing when you greet the deities, how beautiful are the deities. Where do you see such beautiful opulence? And when you hear, like during the Mangal Artik and the Samadhi, ladies have a certain yodeling of some sort they do with their tongues, and it's exciting. Yeah, that thing. Woo. And it's exciting. You get like shivers in your body. You think, oh, something's happening. It's an experience, a spiritual experience. So we want to stay in that kind of an atmosphere. You want to stay in the atmosphere of being with the devotees, seeing the deities regularly, chanting the name, participating. Lord Chaitanya and all his associates, they were enthusiastically chanting together, dancing together, taking prasadam together. Because everything in this material world just centered around sex. But ultimately, that might be the whole idea, the whole endeavor, the advertising, all the businesses and all the technology. It's all based upon beautiful women and, enjoying this, how you're going to enjoy it. But the spiritual pleasure is not like in material pleasure that
once you've eaten, okay, enough gulab jamins, or you had your relationship, and then it's no longer that interesting. But in spiritual life, it's emotional, it's exciting, it's difficult to express in words, it's inexplicable, but you'll experience it as you grow and mature. And it sometimes takes some time to really awaken those higher pleasures. And that's not that we're striving for that, because Daruka, the servant of Krishna, he was kind of angry that he was having ecstatic emotions because it was interfering with his service. And the gopis, they're complaining about the Brahma creating the eyelids because it's interfering with my ability to see Krishna. So it's not that the gopis and the gopas and all the pure devotees are simply performing their devotional service just to have experienced the transcendental emotions. They're doing it out of love for Krishna. But naturally, our spiritual emotions and symptoms awaken. Well, it's like a real musical place, this room here. So there's so much, and daily hearing, taking little doses, ā-brahma-bhuvanāl, punar, ā-vartino, Arjuna, from the highest planet down to the lowest planet, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains the Lord's eternal abode, he never returns back to this world. So it is an opportunity of a lifetime to, very rare to meet a pure devotee. It's like being thrown in the ocean. Now someone's throwing you a life preserver. Now you don't want to question where that life preserver came from, but Srila Prabhupada's giving us a life preserver to take us out of this very horrible ocean of birth and death. People are lost for billions and trillions of lifetimes. I know it seems like big numbers, it becomes almost unimaginable. But we want to be home, back home. After a long journey, you're just glad to get home, just, you know where everything is, and you're tired of traveling, you're tired of just going here, going there, different people, different, experiences. It might be pleasurable for a very short time, but after a while, you just want to go back home and just relax, So we need to go back home, back to the spiritual world. And we're in the launching pad, being in Vrindavan Dham, having the holy name, having the association of devotees, and the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam, apply ourselves enthusiastically, and the more we hear and the more we chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, praying to the Lord that I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death, please pick me up and engage me as one of your servants. This is the mood we want to develop. So there might be a few minutes for anybody have any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Panca Gauda Prabhu, for a very nice class. The pleasure of Krishna consciousness, as you mentioned, it also inspires us to say to Krishna, please use me in future lives. Also, if you can protect me, from Maya, to, assist, pure devotees in bringing other souls, because, we are in minority, and it's such a big task. So,
it is.
Yeah.
It seems insurmountable, very big task. But even like Krishnadas Kaviraj, I don't know if I heard everything, but he was saying, my eyes are failing, my hands are trembling. There's no way what can I do? But still, by the mercy of the devotees and by the mercy of Madan Mohan, he wrote the most brilliant Chaitanya Charitamrita, said, a blind man can see the stars in the sky, a lame man can cross mountains. A child can speak eloquent words. So, despite all difficulties, we've been given a great opportunity to be on the fast track of, not that we're thinking fast track, but we have the crystal truth, the absolute truth before us. So,
Thank you.
yes, Mataji. Yeah, Prabhu, then Mataji. Go ahead. Give it to Prabhu, then Mataji. He's a gentleman. Ladies first.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
This question is not for me, but there are many initiated devotees, and they don't come for the morning programs, and they do their own things, and so they say we are in Vrindavan, and
Right.
so I mean,
You
it
know,
affects
this
their spiritual master also, because our spiritual masters, we are all under Prabhupada, so we've been told to very strictly follow. So what hope is there for them? Because they feel we are in Vrindavan, so we'll go back.
Of course, Krishna consciousness can be practiced anywhere, in home, and sometimes, as you mentioned, although duly, nicely initiated and having the opportunity, but they just choose to stay home and or maybe do it in their own way. Everyone's an individual, and we're just trying to encourage others by our own enthusiasm, but it's not that we can, how you say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So, and we shouldn't judge necessarily others, because everyone's in a different state of mind, or a different place. But to encourage them in a loving way, in a caring way, is a good thing, but not to the point of making them feel guilty and or incompetent or unfaithful, or not capable of following to a high standard. Because we can't judge others, but we ourselves, if we take our medicine ourselves and we're enthusiastic, it'll rub off on others. And if we gently and lovingly encourage them, say, come and see the beauty of the deities, that's nice too. But not in a judgmental way, because, I have family members, as you probably do, and we have friends, many people who, although they want to be in Krishna consciousness, they've had some experiences in their lives where maybe it didn't go exactly the way they wanted to go, and they just feel like, I need my own space. So that may be, and it's unfortunate, because association with devotees is very, very valuable. It's essential. And living together and singing and worshiping together is wonderful. So we should make the atmosphere more appealing and more inviting so that people will come. I think if somebody feels welcome, then they feel happy about that. But if somebody comes and says, well, what are you doing here? You never come. Then people might feel like, I don't want to see these people because they're criticizing and or judging me. Don't judge me. People don't like to be judged. Krishna will do that. Yamaraj will do the judging. We're meant to encourage and love everyone, like the Goswamis. They had no enemies, because although there's naturally enemies of devotees, but devotees don't have that mentality, because they see Krishna in everybody's heart, and they're worshiping Krishna in the form that every living entity, even though their character might not be the best and their behavior may not be the topmost, but we should work on ourselves that they feel that welcome and they want to also participate. We'll see.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So yes, Prabhu, last question. Yeah, we have time for one more. Why not?
Thank you, Panca Prabhuji. Very nicely you have explained about the sloka. So I have a little bit concern, as you have explained, that one should have faith properly. Yes, very good. And regarding the punaravritti, punarjanma vidyate. So Lord Brahma, demigod Lord Brahma, he is the almost second creator, as we know. He's a second creator, and he is part of material world, and he has to take birth again. So where do we stand? What is our position? How long we can...
If Brahma has to take birth again, where do we stand?
Where do we stand? That's my concern, please.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit? Thank you.
Like I said, it seems insurmountable. I was telling you, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was saying, I'm blind, I can't, hear, I can't. But by the mercy of the Lord, even Brahma was seeing the Brijabasis and the Gopis, and when the Brahma-bhuvanāl Leela, when he saw Krishna expanded himself as all the calves and cowherd boys, and he understood, and then he understood that Krishna's got such mystic powers. When he went to Dwarka, and the doorkeeper said, Brahma wants to see you. Which Brahma? And Brahma was, what do you mean which Brahma? Four-headed Brahma, the father of the four Kumaras. Thinking, I'm Brahma, in charge of this universe. So at that moment, unlimited Brahmas came, unlimited Shivas came with so many heads and so much more responsibility that Brahma felt like a little tiny insect compared to huge, personalities. So we're not going to try to evaluate that, if Indra's having a hard time and Brahma's having a hard time, where do we stand? We're hopelessly lost. That may be, but Lord Chaitanya's mercy is so great. He's considered the most merciful incarnation. He's given the highest love of God available to everyone freely. Your only price is your lolium, your intense desire to have it. So how do we increase our desire to have it? By keeping good association, by hearing and chanting. Then one day, miraculously, Krishna will empower us to have the strength to go beyond even what Brahma is achieved. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted a kingdom bigger than his father's, bigger than Brahma's. Little boy. He wanted a kingdom more than Brahma. How was it possible? And through the guidance of his mother, he said, go to the forest. And then Krishna sent Narada Muni to help this kid out. And Narada was saying, you're just a young boy, go home and play. And he said, look, if you want to help me, I'll listen, but otherwise go away. So he performed the yagya and austerity. And within 6 months, he saw the Lord personally. And then he wanted nothing. He didn't want the planets and all the great kingdoms. He just satisfied in the service of the Lord. So anything that seems impossible can be made possible by surrendering to the Lord, because the Lord can make the impossible possible. And the devotees too, because they're empowered by the Lord. They even have, Krishna listens more to Srimati Radharani. If she says, he's good, help him out, then Krishna say, oh, he's good, okay, Prabhupada says, you're following nicely, you're doing nice, you're pleasing all your authorities nicely, and you're advancing nicely. Krishna listens. It's not impersonal. Krishna is very personal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.